red alert. This is not a drill. The Democratic Party has been seen with Russian Ambassador Sergei Kislyak. Recently, Kislyak also visited former Democratic President Obama's White House 22 times between 2009 and 2016, an election year. Please ignore all common sense. This is not a drill. Perhaps this is the way we should approach the recusal of Attorney General Jeff Sessions. Maybe then, the money trail leading to the Democratic Party behind the mass hysteria, damaging President Donald Trump's cabinet, will perk up their clogged ears and listen. Hang on to your seats, America. We are experiencing the left's pure propagandized turbulence.
Attorney General Sessions cannot possibly lead an investigation into Russian interference in our elections or come anywhere near it. With these revelations, he may very well become the subject of it.
I think as the day has moved on, Aaron, it is clear that the recusal is not enough.
Any connections, contacts between the Trump campaign and the Russians give rise to the supposition that there may have been some involvement.
You've been in Congress a little bit, and you're in leadership. Have you ever met with the Russian ambassador?
I'm not with this Russian ambassador, no. But
is there anything wrong? I mean, is it normal to meet with ambassadors, or what?
Meanwhile, former President George W. Bush and former President Barack Obama are grappling for the power levers that they no longer control. But by hook or by crook, Bush and Obama will do anything to appease their deep state handlers.
So many questions about the contacts between Trump associates during the campaign and the Russian government. As a former president, would you like to see a special prosecutor appointed to look into this once and for all and give the American people answers?
Well, first of all, I think we all need answers. Whether or not the special prosecutor is the right way to go tonight, you're talking to the wrong guy.
I mean, this is what we talk about when you talk about draining the swamp, right? I mean, this is pretty murky swamp here.
Well, it's real murky swamp, and the sad thing is, it's taxpayer money. Now, look, Martha, I don't care if the donation is to a liberal or conservative group. This violates the Constitution because only Congress can appropriate money. This is outrageous.
Former Attorney General Eric Fast and Furious Holder is heralding the second coming of Obama, while Obama's globalist handler, Valerie Jarrett, is moving into Obama's D.C. community organizer command base.
Do you have any concerns about that the Obama administration was concerned that this intelligence might be destroyed or ignored?
That seems pretty far-fetched. I don't even know who, because I think those were unnamed Obama officials. So, I mean, if those former Obama officials have those concerns, it'd be pretty easy to stand up in front of a press conference like I'm doing now and talk about those concerns with all of you. I would suggest that you guys go chase them down, sit outside of their house, and ask them if they have concerns about whether or not the FBI and other agencies were going to conduct an investigation.
How are the Democrats affecting foreign policy? Well, AP reports the foreign ministry said it was media vandalism. The uproar is widely seen in Moscow as parts of efforts by President Donald Trump's political foes to block any possible attempts at a rapprochement with Russia. The big question here is, why Russia? The Chinese are the communists colluding with the deep state lobbyists infesting the United States government. Maybe the time has come to dust off the little-known Communist Control Act, signed into law by President Eisenhower in 1954, outlawing the Communist Party of the United States and support for communist organizations whose objectives include communist collusion. The Democrats have a giant communist chip on their shoulder. Inevitably, the providence of the United States of America will have to knock it off. John Bound for Infowars.com.
In January, we had audio tapes emerge that showed that John Kerry was talking about the fact that they were going to use ISIS as leverage against Assad. He said, we saw that ISIS was getting stronger, that they were threatening to go to Damascus and so forth. We were watching it get stronger. We knew that Assad was getting threatened, but we thought we could manage this. Well, they did more than manage it. They gave arms to them. Kerry also admitted that they armed them. And, of course, we've had John McCain begging for this, saying, let's arm the moderate rebels. Okay, they're not moderate rebels. These people, 70% of them are openly with al-Qaeda. You can't trust on the other 30%. John McCain's objective in Syria is regime change, just like it is here in America. You have to understand, John McCain is the political spokesman for the surveillance state that is putting out leaks and fake information to discredit and to remove from office Donald Trump. That's John Kerry that's doing this. In February, we had John Kerry go yet again to meet with rebels in Syria. And as the headlines reported from ABC News, McCain makes a secret trip to Syria. And then we had in CBS, they say McCain sneaks across the Turkey-Syria border and meets with rebels. We see following that Syria's water supply was cut off by Turkey after he met with Erdogan. Understand that McCain is a force for war. He wants Syrian rebels to be armed so they can shoot down Russian planes. He's pushed the situation in the Ukraine. He's pushed unrest in Libya and Syria. He is part of the perpetual war state, the military-industrial complex, the CIA, that is opposed to Donald Trump. And so this is what John McCain has created. This is why they are pushing against Donald Trump. This is the surveillance state side of this. Of course, what Barack Obama is doing, he's very much tied in with the same people, and they're doing it from a political standpoint. All of this information that's coming out, understand that McCain represents the Republican side of it. And throughout this week, we have also seen George W. Bush showing his true colors. We've always known that he was phony opposition. We've always known that he was a rhino. But starting Monday morning, he went on the Today Show, and he started talking about how the travel ban was going to infringe on people's right to worship, and how we had to push back on Trump's attacks on the free press, saying, you know, you got to really guard against people who become arrogant with power. What he did was he took both parts of the First Amendment, he twisted them and he inverted them. You do not have a right of immigration. And to say that we're not going to bring people in from 7 countries that Obama and McCain started wars with, presumably because they're dangerous, and because we can't vet those people, they turn that into religious persecution. That's what George Bush is doing, adopting all of the talking points of the left and, of course, going on their programs, going on with Ellen DeGeneres, saying we have to guard against Putin. This is George W. Bush saying he's going to push until somebody stands up to him. He says that he's not really talking in coded speech when he goes on with Jimmy Kimmel. He says, I'm not really criticizing Donald Trump with coded speech. No. It is very coded, and it's not really being disguised. And then, of course, just as he's done with Bill Clinton, he is now gushing over Michelle Obama. Remember, he called Bill Clinton his brother from another mother. Now he is saying that Michelle Obama is somebody that he immediately liked. And so he is showing himself to be part of the opposition, just as McCain is. We have to understand how serious this is, with Obama setting up shop in D.C.
The Obama administration has been implicated in laundering billions of dollars through a Department of Justice slush fund scheme to activist groups, according to the congressional investigators. And these same investigators are estimating that it may be around $3 billion that went to these non-victim groups. Some of these groups include the National Council of La Raza, Reinvestment Coalition, and the National Urban League. So was Obama deliberately moving this money into these grassroots nonprofit activist groups prior to Trump taking office so that they could continue to fund these groups? Is Obama going to be spearheading impeachments on President Trump? Because Obama appears to be, according to this source, very determined to get rid of President Trump and impeach him in order to save his legacy. And his legacy, which includes Obamacare and his safety net that he's set up for, you know, refugees to come here and whatnot. And so Obama's just really upset at the fact that President Trump could very well go after him for stealing billions of dollars or some of the many other crimes or violations of the Constitution that we know that Obama has committed. So it's very interesting to see here. This is breaking news, guys. We will keep you updated on this. I'm Millie Weaver for the InfoWars Nightly News.
And it's time for humanity to stand up in the info war and say, I don't know what's going to happen at the end of this, but you want to fight, you better believe you got one. In the past decade, we have witnessed unparalleled scientific discoveries in the area of health. But no one has put together a formula that focuses directly on brain health, nerve growth factors, and optimizing your cellular energy at the same time. DNA Force is one of the most expensive formulas to produce. Some of the ingredients in DNA Force are $12,000 a kilogram. We are using the coveted, patented, only American source of PQQ, CoQ10, and more. You want the best that's out there at the lowest price anywhere? Well, we're bringing you a total win-win. The ultimate value, cutting-edge, trailblazing game changer that also supports the InfoWar. We have produced a limited run of DNA Force, and it will take up to 12 weeks to produce more once we sell out. Secure your DNA Force today at InfoWarsLife.com or call toll-free 888-253-3139.